So everything's working, but you end up panicking and telling yourself you need to do more. It's like that panic is literally the enemy of manifestation. And here's why. And I want to explain that with a quick story. At first, I'm Luther, and this is the Self-Image Alchemist. And let's just dive right into this one, because this is something that happened to me recently, actually, like over the past weekend. It was so funny. Basically, I was, and I tell it real quick, I was basically ahead of schedule with everything. And for some reason, I found myself having these wild thoughts of, oh, you need to do more, or what you did isn't enough, or that's not gonna work, or it's not gonna last. Like all kinds of like crazy thoughts and feelings that kind of got brought up with that I kind of like felt all day. And I'm like, everything is working out. Why am I feeling this way? Like, why is my like nervous system like freaking out and like sounding like the alarm, and it was, I was really perplexed by that. And it wasn't until later that night when I started asking myself questions and really processing like what was going on over those couple of days. I was like, okay, that's what that is, and it made sense to me. It brought me so much comfort knowing that, like, oh, okay, that's what this is. Especially for my type, because it's pretty normal for me to have that feeling of wanting to do more. For me, being an Aries sun and like a Capricorn moon, or a 1-3 generator, because I learn through action. So I literally need to do more. That's how I learn things. So for me, it's kind of normal to have those thoughts, but at the same time, I have to have boundaries with that. Those thoughts I need to keep in check, because they mess with your manifestations. All right, and I want to tell you why in this video, and maybe you're going through that, and maybe you're not a 1-3 generator, in which case, it's a problem. So let's dive right into it. One of the first, I'll give you 3 core reasons of what it'll be. One of the first ones, and I touched on it a little bit, but it's like a nervous system, like alarm going off. This is basically just your natural wiring, just where you are, like right now. Like your body mistakes, like for example, this unknown future or whatever your manifestation is, as kind of like a threat, and kind of like flips the like, oh yeah, we got to do more. Like right now, things are too quiet. We need to do more, and that's basically like that's survival. That's not manifestation, right? And that's kind of like what was triggered by me being too comfortable with being ahead of schedule and not doing anything. It's like my wiring was like, oh, we got to do something. You know what I mean? And that's why that popped up. And again, just asking myself a simple breathing exercise, and just asking myself questions at the end of the night, like, hey, is this true? Like, do I really need to do anything? Like a whole slew of questions I went through and kind of just asked, and I didn't write them down, but I'm gonna suggest you actually write these down to see the answers. I didn't write them down because I'm so used to this, and processing my thoughts. So I don't really have to write them down, but I'm going to suggest that you write them down. I really should, but I don't. I'm just being honest. Sometimes I don't do that. If it's something that's really causing issues in my life, yes, I will take it a little bit more seriously and start writing these down to kind of like have the concrete evidence, to combat my nervous system, really. And between that and breathing exercises, good as golden. So another core reason why I realized some of this was coming up was it can either be scarcity identity, slash like fear of like a plateau. Basically, you believe that slowing down equals failure. Like, you know what I mean? And again, I'm an Aries. I want to go. Like and I'm a generator, so I have so much energy to like do things. Like I want to do things, and when I don't have to, and I'm so far ahead of schedule, it threw my mind for a loop. It threw my mind for a loop. And this is crucial, because when you're manifesting things, and it's periods where you're not gonna really have to do anything. Seriously, yeah, like I can't even talk. Manifestation needs trust, right? And scarcity screams for control, right? So definitely a little bit of scarcity identity there, and like a little bit of a fearing, like a plateau, basically. Um, is a little bit of what I was going through. And one of the other things that I was going through, and you may be going through this if you're experiencing any sort of like doubt around your manifestations as well, especially if things are going well, because things were going well for me. And I don't know why those thoughts came in. I could see if they were going bad and those thoughts came up, it would be somewhat justified and I would deal with the situation totally different. But the fact that things were going well, like through me, and I was like, I don't understand why I'm feeling like this. But yeah, that's exactly what was happening. And the third thing I want to give you, again, I don't want to make this video too long, but was progress discounting. And basically what that is like, your wins basically become like background noise, right? They don't even mean anything. Like if you don't celebrate alignment, your mind keeps asking for a higher dose, basically a higher dose of alignment. And what happens is your brain is basically lying to you. It tends to stop rewarding your success, or if you have that feeling of comfortability, like for example, like in my situation, like where I was so far ahead of schedule, there was like nothing for my brain to reward. So I wasn't doing anything for my brain to reward. So I wasn't getting that dopamine. I wasn't getting those little spikes in my head. I wasn't getting anything. So my brain was like, oh, wait a minute. Like if you want to manifest this, you gotta do this, and this. You're not doing anything. My brain was freaking out. And that kind of like triggered throughout my entire body, completely changing my energy. And it could kind of like stifle your results. It can like hinder your progress if you let these three core things: scarcity identity / fear of plateau, progress discounting, and just your nervous system. If you let those things take over your manifestation, then I mean you're never going to achieve it. So yeah, so I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to bring up you three very specific questions that I ended up asking myself. Actually a few. I wrote some of them down. That's kind of like what I'm going to read to you. But what piece of evidence provides things that proves things? I'm sorry. What one piece of evidence proves things are moving in my favor right now? So that's a powerful question, and that's kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of the exact first question I asked myself. Basically, was like, is this true? You know what I mean? And then I was thinking of evidence to contradict that, basically. And as I was doing this, I was slowly breathing in and breathing out, calming my nervous system down at the same time while asking these questions, so I can kind of like rationalize my way through it to be like, all right, I'm tripping. Like there's nothing wrong. I'm moving forward. My manifestation is coming to me. Like there is nothing more that I need to do other than just be myself. I am the thing that I desire to be. Like it's just, that's the simple. This is the process. Albeit I'm in the beginning of it, but still, this is the process. You know what I mean? And you can kind of use just that one question, alleviated a whole lot of that feelings and that frequency that I kind of found myself in over the past weekend. Just one question. And what I'm challenging you to do is to actually write this down and look at it, and you can use this as evidence when you answer these questions. So let me give you another one. Which part of my identity ties my worth to speed or output? Name it. And this ties directly with the scarcity identity part of that. It's basically when you, like we just said, and when you tie your identity to visual progress, basically. Like you have to see something, otherwise your self-worth just tanks, right? Because you put your worth on visual progress. You moving forward and things moving along. The second you stop, for example, like me, when I got actually ahead of things and there was nothing for me to do, I kind of started sabotaging myself. My self-worth started to tank, and my thoughts reflected that. You know, fortunately for me, my reality didn't reflect that, but my thoughts surely did. So that's something you definitely want to watch out for and to keep in check. I'm going to give you 6 questions. So that's 2. I'm giving you 3. What is my minimum effect dose for each day to keep momentum? So basically, what is one thing that you need to do every day in order to keep momentum? If you've done it, done. Period. All right? Don't even question it. Don't take it further than that. Think of one thing. Pick that, because you think of more things, your brain is just going to create more and more tasks and ask more questions. Like, oh, you can come up with more stuff to do. Like, don't do that. All right? Don't do that to yourself. Just pick one thing that you need to do every day to move momentum forward. And in this case, in the past weekend, I have done all of those things. So I did name one thing, and I just created a thing, and I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. It's super simple, and I don't have to do anything. So I kind of like calm myself down, like, oh, I can actually relax. I can kind of chill. So that's another good question. What would happen if I allowed momentum to compound for 1 month without adding more? So this is a kind of a, what's the word? Not a playful question, but like, this is kind of you playing with the idea of like, what would it be like if I basically didn't have to do anything? Like, for example, me, again, this past weekend, didn't have to do anything. What would that look like if I didn't add anything else to that list? What would that look like? What would I be doing? How would I feel about that? You know what I mean? Like, start asking those kind of questions around those questions. And again, first thing comes to mind, just write it out, look it over, see how you feel about it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep moving. The next question: when did I last feel aligned and relaxed while getting results? And describe it. For me, this was, I feel like this a lot of the time, actually. But definitely a powerful question for you to ask. Yeah, because if you can point out this is going to be your go-to. This is going to be the go-to feeling, thoughts, actions, whatever it is. It's going to be your go-to vibration, because this is going to be something that is going to always keep you in alignment. And you're going to, if you can describe it and remember like what it was exactly that you were doing when you felt aligned and relaxed and you were still getting results, you can kind of tap back into that energy at any given time. Like, when I remember back in 2019, no, it was 2019, 2020. The end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, man, I just started, like, I guess you want to call it a spiritual awakening, you can call it that. But I was so in alignment. I felt so good, and I was getting immediate results back then. It was a powerful feeling, like, in all aspects of my life, relationships, physical health. I was like in the best shape of my life. I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt aligned. Everything was just like, it felt damn near perfect. Yeah, I mean, I was like blissed out. I was ignoring some other aspects of my life, so that wasn't the greatest, but just being able to tap back into that memory and that feeling and that vibration allows me to be okay with how I felt, with what I went through basically over this past weekend, with me just doubting myself for no reason at all, you know, and it just helped. So I definitely believe it's going to help you. And the last question I want to give you is, what's one tiny ritual that you can do tonight to celebrate the process, not the outcome? The process, that's important. Like, what can you do to celebrate your process? Because it's really about the process. Like, I use me for example. If I want to be a YouTuber, the end result is me being a YouTuber. The process is me creating these videos, me doing what I'm doing exactly right now, right? Even though sometimes I may procrastinate on it for whatever reasons, this is the joy. This is my result. Is doing this is the result. That's where I get my joy from. That's where that hit of dopamine comes from. Not necessarily the result. That's just the icing on the cake. I mean, those are amazing. I love them. You know, they even add motivation to me to want to do more. They make me want to do more. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean? But it's definitely not necessary if you're already in alignment and if you're getting results. It truly is the process, and that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys. I mean, I go through things too. Like, I just not. People think you turn into like some kind of like manifestation. I mean, I don't know, teacher, guru, or whatever it is, that they don't too go through things, and then some of those teachers act like they don't, to try to create this image of perfection when that's like there's no such thing, right? There are no real masters. Only people pursuing mastery. There's no such thing as mastery. If that was the case, perfection would be a thing, but neither is that. That's always growth. Like, you can perfect something and then grow from it. So how is that perfection? I guess perfection, is in the growth itself. It's in the process. It's in the building up. That's perfection. Perfection is watching the seed grow into the oak tree. That's perfection, not the finished product of the oak tree. The finished product of the oak tree can have limbs missing, roots all tore up. Like that's a snapshot. You know what I mean? That's not the process. So I don't want to go on a tangent about this. But yeah, I hope this video helps you. If it does, leave a comment and let me know if you experience anything like this, like any kind of like self-doubt when things were actually going well for you. Like you almost wanted to sabotage it in a certain way. I'm really curious, because it's something I would love to talk about more and help you out more if you can come up with something that I didn't cover. I just covered the 3 core things that I personally went through, and something that I found that maybe you might be going through also. Also, links in the description. Like, share, comment, do all the things, and until next time.